Okay, welcome to the Village of Buchanan special meeting and budget hearing of Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight we are going to start with the budget hearing. I'd like to make a motion to open up the budget hearing. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Marcus gave us a review last week at the workshop, and he's going to review some other items for us.
Sure, just for the public's information. At the last meeting, I made a very detailed budget presentation with a couple of charts, so people can always watch that meeting. That's number one. I also I did a budget message trying to detail everything that we've been doing. Oh, hold on, Mike?
Black.
No video? At home.
On TV, somebody,
Here, but no video.
Well, if we see that, it's on Zoom, so.
yeah. Showing up. Okay, well, yeah, can't do anything. So hopefully people can just hear me. So, I also did a budget message trying to detail everything with how the budget, we arrived at the budget numbers for this year. All the information is also on the website. So people can look at the website and actually see not only the video, but also see the budget message and the detail expenses and revenue report. So what I'm going to do today is just do a quick little summary of how we got for this year. So summarize, the tax rate increase for next year is anticipated to be 5.34%. That's about an increase for average taxpayer of $146.88 or $12.24 per month. The main causes of the increase was a very small increase in assessed value, an increase in overall appropriations of $256,800, and a very small increase in overall revenues of $5,471. The major increase in appropriations was just police salaries, staff increases, and expenses of $90,273, medical insurance of $115,308, and debt service by $60,000. The revenue impacts mainly was the reduction in the cessation fund. The cessation fund reduces every year, as we've been discussing since the beginning of the cessation fund. That went down by $116,471. Also, we decreased the transfer to the water fund about $50,000. And then what I did to also try to reduce the impact, I reduced contingency by $100,000 to try to reduce the impact on the taxes. So that's the overall review of the budget. It's a very small budget, not much to play around with. 80–90% salary and benefits, and everything else is operating expenses that we have to do. So that's the overall situation where we are. I'm here to answer any questions tonight or before the next meeting. Anybody can call me, email me. If anybody has a question, but I'd be more than happy to answer the questions tonight and from the public or from the village board. Thank you.
And we are approving the budget on April 23rd, the next workshop.
Mhm.
I have a few questions with the contingency. Are you planning, do you have anything planned in there on expenditures and the contingency?
No, the good thing about contingency this year is that we have police and all the contracts have approved.
Mhm.
Of course, we got contract expiring next year. But right now I can actually anticipate all the personal services and expenses. So the contingency, again, is just for emergency purposes, unknown revenue that doesn't come in or unknown expense that we get hit with, and that we won't have a deficit, because I actually try to do as tight a budget as I can regarding all the revenues and expenses to all the departments. Try to be conservative, but the revenues that you can see are very, very tight. The good news that Cindy has done a great job of interest income. The money has been coming in pretty good. The building department brought a lot of revenue in. Again, you don't know what's going to happen next year. Interest rates drop, we lose that. Building department, building permits were pretty good. The court is still catching up on old fines that were done, but that's going to catch up sooner or later. But again, trying to reduce the tax impact, I'm trying to maximize those revenues to try to keep the tax rate lower this year.
So currently 355 for contingency
Yeah,
is the
contingency,
budget amount.
355, that's correct.
Another thing you had mentioned last week was the water department, the replacement of the water meters, which we didn't do too long ago. Is there any warranty on those meters? Like, is there an expected life?
Yeah,
span?
the expected life, they say between 10 to 12 years is when they start running slower. So the warranty is 1 year on the meters. After that, it's just the useful life of those meters. So the idea is that we can put some money aside in capital projects over time, which I think we can based on what we've seen, just like we do for the paving. We put 300,000 away for paving. We give the fire department $50,000 a year. So the idea is, do we know we're going to be hit with that in a couple of years? We can start putting some money away, what I consider a sinking fund. And then that way, when the expense end, we don't have to hit the taxpayers with a $500,000 expense in 1 year.
So the replacement of all of them would be 500,000.
Correct.
But did we not last time when we replaced the meters, did we not take that out of our water fund?
Yeah, that will come out of the water fund, absolutely.
Okay, but you're saying you would like to put like a separate capital fund for the
In the
water?
water fund. So the money will come out of the water fund, it will go into a capital project fund in the water fund. It won't affect the taxes at all. It would just be the water fund. And based on the analysis we did, our fund balance is pretty good because as we discussed, the overall revenue expenses went down and we're building a higher fund balance. But since overall budget went down, our fund balance is higher. So I think we have enough money in it to put maybe a couple $100,000 away right away from the actual fund balance that we have in the water fund, not in the general fund.
Okay, yeah, that was my question.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
from last week.
Correct.
So when we talk about average taxpayer, you have an approximate amount
Yes.
per month.
Mhm.
The average taxpayer, what is their assessment? What would that?
Give me a second.
Sorry.
Just give me a minute so I can look it up.
Okay. And everyone received the expense control report from Cindy last night, right? So you can ask for these expense control reports over the year too, to see where we are with certain budget items.
Yes, about $300,000 for a house.
Okay, all right,
Again, higher, lower.
Yeah.
Depends.
okay. One other thing on the, I'm going to the expense control report now, under public safety. My only question is, have we heard back from the town about animal control? Because we put the request in and,
No. You might have to give the supervisor another call.
okay, yep. And one of the things I noticed, which was pretty good news, with the overtime on snow removal. We didn't use much of that.
Yeah, we have two snowstorms this year. We're lucky again.
And
Yes.
so we have at least 21,000 left there on that line,
Mhm.
which is good because sometimes we're scraping pennies there.
Yeah, the biggest issue with the snow removal has always been the salt, because you might have more ice storms and more salt than you have to do for overtime. So as long as we're good on the materials, then we should be okay.
Yeah, okay, good. Or we still can get a snowstorm yet too, so
There's one coming upstate tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
not over yet. So, and what I was interested in when I was looking through this, the expenses for the state retirement, for police and fire, the figures on that and workers' comp and, you know, and hospital and medical,
Yep,
you're looking at $1 million.
correct. Like I said, in my budget, at least the workers' comp has not increased in the last 2 years.
Okay,
So that's good news.
that's good, yeah.
But that's based on the experience. So if we have a couple of heavy duty claims, then the rates will go up.
It changes, yeah.
So again, it's uncontrollable expenses.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Those are, you know, the cost of doing business with the employees, having employees and service end of it. What I noticed under the water fund,
Mhm.
there's, I believe we went 34,000 over on line 0480. We were budgeted, the original budget was 100,000. And it's looking like,
What account number you're looking for? You're looking at?
it's under the water fund.
Yeah, 002, give me the account, give me all the numbers.
It's 0028340
834, okay.
0480.
Yeah, well, over by $25,000, yes. $25,000 over. Cindy can look it up.
Okay.
Page numbers.
Sure,
Oh, no, she's looking at actuals. That's not in your budget. She's looking at actual expenses for
oh,
this
yeah,
year.
this is a
not
control
next year.
report. Sorry.
Azella, a lot of
Page
the water main breaks and valve replacements.
Okay.
The valve replacements and water main breaks. We just had the house fire that we just had, they tried to shut off the valve broke, so they had to
Oh.
replace that valve as well. So it's like, those numbers are killing me.
Yeah.
I already talked to George about going out to bid on this work, because this is unbelievable. It's between $6,000 to $10,000 to replace a valve. It's killing me when I see those bills, right, Cindy?
Hmm, okay. Okay.
We have nobody on staff that can do that.
Not right now, we have one guy working. If we open up a street, it might stay open for days while they bring 3 or 4 guys in and put the equipment and bang everything out. You're gonna need at least 2 or 3 guys plus traffic control.
Yeah, I get it.
And we don't just maybe discuss with the town on reaching out to them to give us assistance on this?
Yeah, we could do that. Say we can do an IMA agreement with them that provide those services. Definitely, yeah. That's.
They've helped us out in the past doing that.
Mhm.
No,
I mean, their valves, they can do a shutdown. They have all the equipment they need to.
Yeah, I know they have everything, yes.
I think we explore that option.
I like that idea. I'll give them a call tomorrow and see if they're willing to work on because what's happening every time we do a paper street, we try to exercise the valve and it doesn't work, then we replace the valve. So that's the other thing. So that's almost guaranteed work every year. Besides the ones that don't work.
Prepave should go out to bid.
Mm-hmm,
Prepave a road, all the valve replacements should go out to bid.
mm-hmm.
But emergency services should be an IMA with the town of Portland.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah, like Bob said, I know they've come in before, but not consistently. So,
We
Well,
could
it's
definitely go to
really-
them, we would definitely go to them first, if there's an
Yeah.
emergency, if they can't do, it, we can reach out to. But I would like even do out the bid, have more than one vendor do all this work as well, if we had to. Because rather, everything's one vendor,
all right.
A lot of the construction companies that pave don't.
don't do valves.
Well, some of them do,
Yeah.
some of them don't,
Mm-hmm,
you know.
okay, good,
Something to look at.
yeah,
You
that's a big hit, so
Yeah.
absolutely, that's a good idea, thank
Well,
you.
Zella is monopolizes the local industry anyway. So
Yeah.
It's really his numbers and no numbers.
Okay. That's all I have for right now, but I'm sure I'll have a few other questions. Any other board members have questions or comments? Or you're new to this a little.
Yeah,
This is-
learning.
Yeah, I would just like to see us be able to sharpen our pencils, so to speak. And look at, let's get creative as to where we can cut costs.
Yeah, our engineering costs are, weren't as bad as they were in the past.
2021 was the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we need to maybe need to try and keep some of that work in-house if we can.
Would we have to redo an IMA that we already entered into with the town of Portland if they were to take on some of this?
normally we do share services automatically with them, but if we want to get a guarantee response time, then we should have an IMA with them. So let me reach out to them, see if they're willing to come out on an as needed basis, it's fine. If they want something official, more official, when I'll come back to the board.
Okay.
Mhm,
I think it's worth exploring.
absolutely.
Any other board members, any other questions? Before I open it up to the floor? I mean, we still can comment, so it's just as we're talking here. So I'd like to open it up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Good evening, Steve Laker, 181 Quirland Street. Good to see everybody. Marcus, I just have a couple line items I'd like to just go over and kind of just get a little explanation. The first one, notice on law, personnel services, there was a decrease in that of actually 5,000. Was that a reduction in salary?
No, what happened was that it's more of a reallocation. Ingrid was being charged as personal services when she had the contract, so she got moved to contractual.
Okay. So as far as our attorney, the village attorney, everything stays the same?
Correct.
Okay. On the auditor, the contractual expense, do we go out to bid on that? The number jumped from 35 a couple years ago up to 53.
Yeah, I actually put a little, I'm actually, it's almost up for renewal. They're gonna give me a proposal. So I just type a number in there, see what the proposal is.
Okay.
And then I'll bring it up to the board and see if they want to agree to that or go to RFP if they wish to, yes.
Okay. Just looking down from there on the treasurer, line items, there still is a part-time, budget item. Is that
Yes.
going to remain or?
Well, my recommendation is, well, right now, that part-timer is also helping with the building department with the new application that we talked about. So she actually is helping in the finance department, also helping in the building department, trying to get stuff digitized on the system as well. So I would like to, well, for that amount of money, I was hoping we can keep them, but there's no way the building department will be able to do their inspections and then keep the software up to date and try to get the history in.
Is that just an ongoing digitizing of the material?
Yeah, what
Or
we're
is that
trying
just backlog?
we're trying to get all the, if you've been to Peter's office, Brian,
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to get those files, at least those active files
Mhm.
on the computer.
Okay.
And then from there, and then new applications will come in, and the idea is just to get to a point where we can create a system that as we put applications in, it'll be on the system automatically.
Okay. The sale of real property, I see that there's no, did we not include the sale of Blakely Avenue?
No, I have
Or-
not.
Okay.
I have not.
Is that in this year's?
That will be a one-time revenue whenever that comes in. So
Right.
right now I didn't budget for it because it's
Okay.
not material at this point, you know.
But it is anticipated.
It is anticipated,
So we
yes.
could use that in our budget.
You could, but I wouldn't use it to reduce taxes because it's a one-time hit. So let's say the number is 400,000 that comes in, that will be a 10% decrease in taxes, but that's only a one-time hit, yes.
Right,
Mhm.
but it could offset any increase on the taxes
Just
for this year.
for this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then next year I have to make it up.
The central garage.
Mhm.
I notice here you have a number of 70,000. In years past, it's either 100,000, 150,000 or zero. What exactly, is that the personnel in the garage?
That's the mechanic's salary that's still in
Yeah.
there, just in case what the board wants to do. We discussed how we want to probably use that money.
So right now, there is no mechanic, so that's really over budgeted.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
That's anticipating a personnel in the future,
Okay,
yes.
so it's just something to keep in mind as we go forward, that it is, that line item is over budgeted
Correct,
and that it could be used for a different staff member if
correct.
the board decides to add a laborer or something else, that number's in there.
That's correct. And all the benefits are incorporated in there as well, yes.
Lens Cove, there's still a number there. I know I mentioned it a couple years back. Right now, it's kind of on hold. Certainly, it's either, to me, the number's either zero or it's several million. So 12,000, what is that?
Yeah, we put that in there just to replace benches, the steps, if we don't do any maintenance work in Lens Cove. That money's just to make necessary repairs or improvements to the park itself.
And then my last thing, and this isn't really one of the line items, is the police department. The one thing that I've noticed, the budget has increased. Our budget has increased year over year. Almost every department has increased. The one thing it hasn't increased is the police department. And the village has increased, the population has, and they need another officer. They need more support. It's the way of the world. And, you know, I'd like to see if the board could look into some possible ways to, you know, and I know there was discussions of alternatives part-time. But just come up with a better solution, because right now, I don't think that it's working. Having worked with the police department, with the chief closely, and they need the help. If you look at our treasurer, you look at our office staff, it's increased significantly, and I was supportive of that, and I would do that all over again.
Mhm.
But the police department has to increase as well, so. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Michael Wenz, 202 First Street. Steve, I just want to piggyback on what Steve said. I think the police department could use some help. You're adding a minimum of 400 residents in about a year. So I think with one officer on duty at a time, I think they definitely could use some help.
The projected date of the development, what was
From the
that
time the
18
buil-
months?
from the time-
18 months.
From the
18 months.
time of the building permit,
Well,
whenever the,
things usually don't.
they haven't provided any plans yet for the
Okay.
building, for the building review yet. So as at that point, building permit, they say 18 months from that point. If all
So
goes well.
before occupancy, you're probably looking 2 years from this summer, roughly.
Could be,
Go push that.
Yeah.
You want that sooner than 2 years.
Yeah,
understand that. Mhm,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an investment that they're not gonna wait for.
mhm.
You try to push that up.
So Marcus, for an officer, if we were to add an officer, salary wise, benefits, pension, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, what would that figure be?
$229,000.
This is a complete package?
Yes,
I'm sorry. If you take the budget line item for the police department, you just divide it by 6, you get about 180,000. That's including all the overtime. If you reduce the overtime, then you can't reduce it 100%, but if you reduce it in half, let's say, you're talking about $130,000 increase to the police budget. I think it's well justified.
So where was the line for the police overtime?
3120101.
101.
001-3120101.
And Marcus, how did you come up with that 229?
Is I took the police officer and I went across just a salary, FICA, Medicare, MTA tax, health insurance, dental, life insurance, retirement, longevity. Or I assume no longevity yet, so longevity's not included. Uniform allowance, holiday pay, eyeglasses, night differential. So when I add all that stuff together for an officer.
So the amount budgeted for overtime for police was 107. As of April 2nd, we expended 68,000. And there is available currently, but we have 2 more months. Wait, no, April, May. So let's consider April a full month. So we have 2 more months and we have 38,000 still available for overtime before we go over the projected budget. I would also like for the board to discuss any stats that are available for the police department. So I think I understand what people are saying, but I think we also need to look at the whole picture for the board to make a decision, this evening. I think that would be not prudent.
I agree. I don't think we're ready to make that decision yet, but I think we need to look into it. And we need to look into every aspect. We did talk about part-time. We need to have our chief also speak and give us what he thinks is necessary. I mean, I'd love to hear from him as well.
Mhm.
And that's a priority.
No, I would agree. I don't think we're in any position to make a decision on this, like right out the gate. So let's do our due diligence and crunch some numbers and see what we can come back with.
Don't get me wrong. I think they are short-staffed though, and I know there is some stress on the department. But I'd like to hear every point, every aspect. And I don't think we're ready to do that right now.
No, I agree.
Any other comments about the budget? Yes.
Marcus, what, on every aspect of the expense, there's a contractual expense. What does that actually mean?
It depends on the departments and what they're using. The contractual is overall of all the 400 accounts. So it could be everything from
Well, like
utility.
looking at the police department, it's 68,000, the projected amount for the budget. So I'm just wondering what contractual expense means. Page 28.
And what line item are you looking at?
Oh, she's looking at- she's looking at this.
3120.
Oh, you're looking at everything.
Which makes.
Yeah, okay, so in that, if you look underneath the budget, you'll see gasoline, uniform allowance. So if you go contractual. it's
Okay,
a
all right, that-
Cumulative number of all the other items below.
I'm sorry. Okay. That's fine. Okay, another question. Do you feel that your office staff needs to increase once we get the increase in apartment dwellers?
No,
Okay. Is there any department that you feel needs to increase as that population increases? Just a question, you know, whether it be if you need somebody in the highway department or more seasonal help or whatever it is, even though they will have obligations of their own for garbage and keeping their property nice.
well, just to let you know, the garbage will be private garbage collection.
No, I realize that.
So, and everything inside the property is there, they're responsible.
Responsibility, yeah.
Both
So-
Carbone and AMS.
Absolutely. That's why, as part of the planning process that the board was involved with, to keep all the expenses on
Okay,
site.
so that people know that, you know.
Correct.
I mean,
Right.
otherwise it doesn't really get stated.
Correct.
Also, if Peter Cook passes his licensing for building inspector, are we paying for both of them still?
That we can have a discussion with the board afterwards, and the other person is just part-time, so he's not a full-time employee. He gets no benefits.
Is it his brother or his father?
That's his father.
His
That's
father,
And he
okay.
doesn't get any benefits, and he works on a part-time basis, only 16 hours a week.
Okay, I'm just curious, you know,
Mhm.
and.
And that's gonna take a workload to, the building department does have a heavy workload.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. I'm just asking if he's going to continue as a part-time person or once Peter gets the license.
I'll talk to the board. I don't think you can run that department with one person, a part-timer. I think we need more code enforcement with the things going on in this village. We've had a couple of issues with, illegal occupancy, and just to go to court, massive amount of timeline to get that done. So I think if anything, status quo as it is, but if we want to keep the housing stock in the village the way we want to keep it, and keep a good element in the village, you're going to need more code enforcement. Not even building department, more code enforcement. But that's the discussion we have with the board as we move on.
Okay, good, thank you.
That's definitely something that needs to be talked about.
Mhm.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Marcus.
No one else? No? No other comments from the board? So we have some things to discuss and work on before the end of the month. So I'd like to make a motion to table the budget hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And Mayor, if I may, I just want to make the announcement again. Anybody have any questions before the next meeting? I'm available, so I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And if you still want to come to the meeting and still ask the question, no problem at all. Just try to keep the flow of information going back and forth. So I appreciate everybody's questions tonight. Thank you.
And then also, the budget is online for people
Absolutely.
who are on TV there, or on Zoom.
Mhm.
You know, you're able to see it there too.
In credit to Marcus, I mean, he always does make himself available if somebody has questions on certain line items or they have very specific questions. Marcus is always there and he's always willing to shed some light on whatever the question may be.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well done, Marcus. You did a nice job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't take the criticism. We know you work very hard on this and you take it very serious.
Absolutely.
And the questions are what makes it better.
Yes.
So, I know, Dan, you had said something about sharpening pencils and stuff, but there is a possibility that the board has to talk about that we could potentially lower the percentage.
Mhm.
But we'll keep that on the table there to discuss.
Yep.
All right, new business. Now we go into our special meeting. I'd like to make a motion to schedule a public hearing on May 7th regarding the sewer use fee.
Do we have to close the public
Did
hearing?
it?
She adjourned it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
because if we close it, then
Yes, okay, I got you.
it's done. Thank you, Dan. Okay. So Marcus, do you want to discuss?
Sure.
I can just set the public hearing and we'll be
Just
discussing.
to make sure that way nobody gets,
Okay.
get nervous about anything. This is just to, the first one we're doing is the stormwater control, not the sewer fee, the stormwater control, right? So,
Oh, no, the first thing on the agenda is the sewer use fee.
I got
Yeah.
the stormwater on mine.
No,
No.
Oh, hey, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the
Sewer
use,
fee.
yeah.
So I'll make sure this does not affect anybody in the village now. This is just for outside users. I want to make sure I make that straight. We gotta make sure on the agenda it's the outside. So we have a couple of a couple of homes outside the village that are not incorporated in the IMA agreement that the village made with the town. Those individuals should pay the village for the services being provided. So we're trying to update the law so that we can enforce the rules and regulation of those individuals. So again, it doesn't affect anybody in the village right now, just some outside users.
Yeah, I just needed some clarification because otherwise.
Yeah.
No.
I'll make sure we put the
People can-
outside,
Yeah,
outside the
people
village.
can,
Yeah,
hear
I can just
that
imagine
way.
and see that what's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
And Marcus, just to reiterate, these are people that have already been tied in for X amount of years
Correct.
that are currently are not paying any fee.
That's correct.
So we're just trying to
Have them pay for some
have them
service.
pay for services that they're getting.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you. I've been trying to get this done for a couple of years, so I think we put some more teeth into it, and then we can actually, to me, it's a gift of taxpayers' money. They're being subsidized by the village taxpayers, and that's not fair.
Nope. you're all
Correct.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for a public hearing on May 7th, 2024 regarding the sewer use fee. Can I have a second, please?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the next, Marcus, is the
Yes.
stormwater control
Yeah, my mistake,
facility
sorry.
agreement.
Yeah, again, doesn't affect anybody in the village right now. These are like big developments or smaller developments that have a stormwater collection system, and our code is outdated. It's a form. They just to make sure they follow procedure that's set by the DEC. So it's just a form we're gonna add to our code. And again, it doesn't affect really any homeowners now. It's just commercial sites.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to call for a public hearing on May 7th, 2024 regarding updating attachment 5 in chapter 211 zoning, schedule B, stormwater control facility maintenance agreement. Can I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next is a motion to approve the following salaries for certain camp and pool staff. For camp director, $8.75 per week, art director, $16 an hour, pool director, $24 an hour. And the WSI is the water safety instructor at $26 an hour. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve an increase in the salary for the seasonal highway help to $17 per hour. We wanna be competitive with other municipalities, so, we get the help we need in the seasonal. Can I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a question for
Oh,
that.
sure.
Is there any reason why we can't make it $18 an hour? Because I believe that is the going rate and it is the competitive rate. I mean, what is the,
town of Portland's 18.
18, right? 18.
Okay. Well, I know
It's-
minimum wage here is 16, so 17, so, I mean, we did approve it, but I can make another motion to
Yeah.
approve for 18.
It is the common rate. I mean,
Okay.
it seems Just to be competitive, maybe we get better quality people to actually. put
That would be
their-
nice.
And I think last year
People that are more
we
motivated to
we
work.
bypassed increasing the part-time highway laborers. They stayed status quo, but camp, I think we increased, so. You know.
Yeah, the board agrees, sure. Sure.
Modified.
Okay, so now I'm going to make another motion. So I can just make a motion on top of that, that overrides the original motion of
I
17.
think motion to rescind that written.
Okay, I want to do it the proper way.
Yeah, rescind
Okay,
that.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion to rescind the original vote of $17 an hour for seasonal highway help. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now I'd like to make a motion to approve an increase of salary for seasonal highway help to $18 per hour. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Looks more attractive.
Okay, yeah, let's get some help here because we got a lot to do. The next is a motion authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications to advertise for bids for sludge removal, which is over at the sewer plant. Can I have a second? All in favor?
I'm on a question on that one too.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I gotta start asking on a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I gotta do that. Okay.
So, we have we use our engineer for this. We've always used our engineer. Okay, is there any reason why Todd can't do this?
The bid specifications,
I mean, they have to be already established well enough that he can see the bid specifications and consider hiring the sludge removal. I mean, we use the same sludge removal every year, don't we?
yeah,
much
we
the
went,
same company?
we had to
Well,
bid last.
Well, there's more than one, I think, that we use, correct?
Yeah, we have one for an emergency in case the first one can't.
So
respond.
instead of making that an expenditure, I
Yeah,
mean, can't we keep something like that in-house?
I can look into that. I can look at that and get back.
I
to
mean,
you.
it's pretty much the same removal company every
Right.
year.
So why don't I do this? If you can, why don't you approve this? I'm gonna come back and I'll see if we can do it in-house or I get a specific price from George, George to see what it's gonna be. And I can email everybody and then if there's a problem, we can revisit on the next workshop.
I'm trying to remember. I know it's usually the same company every year.
Yeah.
We've had a few other companies, but they've been really like much,
Correct.
much higher.
Correct.
And so that's why we usually
Yep.
stay with the same company.
But with your,
What is the bid, is the bid, but.
Right,
yeah,
right,
but
right.
you oversee it.
Yeah,
With Todd and you overseeing it, I
Yeah.
think you could come up with the solution.
yeah, okay, let me look into that,
All
absolutely.
right, yeah, that would be great. So we'll leave that as it is. If we have to change it at the next meeting,
Yeah,
we'll,
we could-
we'll
like I
adjust
said,
it.
You approve it, we can do it in-house, then we don't have to
Okay.
use the engineer, so.
Oh, let's see, where are we here? All right, so this has got to be a discussion before we even put this up for a vote. We had talked about a crosswalk on Bannon and Kings Ferry and Tate and Kings Ferry. We met with the town to discuss, you know, how to go forward with that. There was complaint about the safety of crossing across Tate and Bannon Avenue. And the town had agreed to split the cost for the crosswalks. And Marcus, have you gotten any more information from the town on this? I know they did the survey, I
Yeah,
understood.
just the email if the village, and then we're gonna, if the village agrees to go 50-50. I got no numbers. They did the survey, they got the survey, and they want to start going out to bid, I guess. And once the village board still wants to move forward with a 50-50 split. That's the last email I received.
So we have no tentative numbers.
No,
Did they put together any kind of itemized like spreadsheet on the cost?
I can ask them. I haven't seen anything.
Kinda hard.
Cause survey's done. So survey's done. I
They
saw
paid
them
for
out
that.
there last Saturday. They paid for that. Okay. Now, did we draw up a plan to bid on?
I have not seen the plan specifications. I have not seen any cost estimates, but I can ask the engineer to provide that information.
Well, their engineer can put together a cost
Mhm.
if he sees the plan
Mhm.
and just give us an idea of what we're splitting.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to vote on
Yes.
this.
Good.
Yeah. They did have a rough approximate, they did mention something at one point, but you know, now that the survey's in, you know, maybe we can get a clearer picture of that.
Yep. I follow with an email tomorrow.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, the next is a motion, well, the professional services of Labella Associates to perform inspections on developments within the village of Buchanan. So the board has decided to hire this firm with the construction of AMS, the apartments there and also, and Carbone. And the scope of the work would be structural systems, general life safety, mechanical plumbing systems, fire protection, process piping, energy code compliance, and accessibility. We did discuss this at the last meeting. And it's because of the scale of the projects, it would be impossible for our building inspector to stay on top of everything that's going on there, plus, what's going on in the village.
And Mayor, if I may, this is not unusual. This is
Okay.
done throughout every place I've been. The building department, I've had building department six inspectors. A project like this will still hire somebody outside, but just to let you know, the building permit fees more than pays for the fees, and there's still a substantial amount of money still coming to the village. But at least it doesn't create an issue, protects the village as well. Make sure the job is done properly according to the code. So just want to make sure it's not unusual at all for projects of this size.
No, this is mandatory.
Just a question on that though, too. Didn't we discuss about possibly expanding their scope of what other types of services they could be looking at on these inspections?
Correct. I've asked for a proposal for that additional work. I have not received it yet. So when it's received, I'll forward over to the board.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to get them involved with the
site
complete,
work, the site work.
their field.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on site. Let them give us a number for the complete scope
Mhm.
from inside the curb line. And even the connections in the street, whatever we have to do for all the infrastructure.
Yep.
Because I think it's more cost effective we use them than for us to bring in our own engineering firm to do it.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense for us to use them.
Yeah, based on our board's discussion and guidance, I asked them to provide a proposal for that as well, as soon as I get it. And I asked our current engineer to give us a proposal too, so
Mhm.
you get to compare apples to apples on both. So as soon as I receive them, I'll send it over to the board.
Yeah, so he's gonna put the complete proposal, including this and the next, and all the
Correct.
site work as well.
That's correct.
And then we'll review it again.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Well,
then
well,
maybe
you're gonna-
we're not ready to vote
No,
on
yes,
this.
no, what happened will be additional scope. So this scope
Okay,
is
so
to do
this
the work.
scope includes that,
Yeah.
but
And then when he gives the proposal for the other scope, then you can approve that at a future meeting when we receive it.
okay, all right.
So you can approve this and then we can.
Add
consider the
the
rest of
additional scope on
later.
after that.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Sure.
This was available online, so I took a look at it, but the one thing I think you may just want to check, they talk about billable, it's time and material, but they don't provide their billable rates.
Yeah.
They have an estimate, but if you look at their estimates just for their, the project coordination and the project management, 1 hour of work, and it equates to 10,000. The other one's 8 hours to 40,000. They should provide whatever their hourly rate is for each of the people on the job.
I'll get that as well.
And the other thing is too, and I believe they're a great firm, but just to keep in mind, I believe the town has them engaged as well. So in case there's ever an issue, there may be a conflict that they may have. to
Conflict of
recuse
interest.
themselves. So just to keep in mind.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Peter needs to know that time and material rate.
Yep, I'll get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on page 6, but it doesn't have it just has the fee estimates on there, time and materials estimate and the phase duration.
Yep, I'll get that.
Okay, good.
and I think he said too, just to reiterate, 3 days a week he would be there, roughly 24 hours a week. Is that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Good, good. All right, so we will approve this first phase of it. So I'd like to make a motion approving the professional services of Labella Associates to perform inspections on developments within the Village of Buchanan. Can I have a second? All in favor, on a question?
We're good on this one.
Okay, all
I
right.
think we got it all worked out.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. All right, so we've gone through the budget hearing, we've gone through the agenda of our special meeting. Are there any other comments from the floor?
I want to commend you all for such a nice evening. This has been one of the nicest board meetings, and quite a while, so keep it up. And I like the smile on Anthony's face.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
It is
I
a compliment.
appreciate the
It is really a compliment. I was going to say it to you privately, but I think everybody needs to hear it because it was really productive, cohesive, and enjoyable meeting. So I really do like that. I want the board to, I want the board to think about this and just give me an answer at another time. Since we have so many people coming in these apartments and everything, it might be a good idea to put a directory together for the services that are offered in Buchanan and then offer it out to the Tri-Village at a cost, like say the Montrose Business District, or even as far down as Red Door, Bocce, whatever, Inverplank. If Angelus opens back up, you've got, different businesses down there. I think it would be something that newcomers may want because not everybody from here is going to live in AMS or Carbones. So you're going to have people that will want services. And I know that Lisa said to me, well, they can go on the internet and plug in and whatever. But sometimes it's nice to be able to offer that, especially for new homeowners. They're looking for services and they don't really know who to go to. They can ask their neighbor, but their neighbor may not have that. So I'm just thinking it's something to put out there. We've got a little time. But I think it would be advantageous for the village to do that either online or with some kind of package that you can leave at the concierge station at AMS or hand out to Mr. Carbone for his building, or leave it in the village, however you want to do it. But we should be welcoming, new people and new residents, whether they're apartment dwellers or homeowners. Just my thoughts. Thank you again.
And
Thank you, Eileen.
that also goes to, since we're gonna have so many new people and the housing turnover is quite a bit at this point. We've been fortunate, we've experienced, a lively real estate market here. But that also goes to maybe not combining them, because I know what you're saying specifically for businesses, but, I know Sharon and Cindy and I had worked on kind of a skeleton of a welcome packet for new residents. And maybe that's something, the board, we could look at to finalize that. So when a new resident comes in, we could send out a packet with our services, our contact information and all that stuff. But there's a skeleton of it. There's the bones to it, but just for the board to approve it or, make any suggestions or recommendations to add to it. So thank you, Eileen. That brings up a good point.
And we want the other people in the Tri-Village, if it goes digital, they have to, they want to put a card in.
We can't hear you. Nobody can hear you.
Don't be shy, Eileen.
Mike was trying to zoom in on you, but I didn't hear
I
you.
just happen to love the business aspect. So if you go to the Tri-Village, they have to pay for their presence. It's not free, whether it's digital or whether it's in a booklet. It doesn't make any difference. But whether it's $25 for a business card, whatever the going rate might be that you decide on, I'm not looking to give it away, but Buchanan should be, we absorb that. But digital might be the way to go for that, but I don't know what the cost of that would be either. Sharon, I'm not asking you to do this.
I know.
She's the one who's gonna wind up doing it.
Well, no, I'm certainly willing to volunteer. So, it's just a point. I think it is important and people do appreciate that. So that was, but I don't want the outside part not to pay. They've got to pay something if we're going to put it together. And the Montrose District wants to be, incorporated, so,
Chamber
Just a
can do
thought,
it. The
Chamber of
The
Commerce.
chamber can do it.
well, I'm just saying, it should be done.
Point well taken, yes.
And Dan is the new liaison to business development here, so, within the village. So, he'll be in touch with all the businesses here in the village, so, maybe somehow it can get all coordinated but that's good. That's a good thought, because you're gonna have over 200 new people here in the village, so. Okay. Any board members, does anybody have any other comments? Dan, you're good. Bob, you're good. Will, you're good.
I have a few comments I'd
Okay.
like to make,
Oh.
please. I won't get crazy though. Thank you, Eileen, for bringing that up. I will tell you that me and Teresa had a glass of wine together last night and
Only one.
we ironed out some of our negativity. And I hope that we can put all that negativity behind us. It was ugly and there was a lot of things that were said. I am not a bad person. I'm not evil. I am a good person and I'm looking to make this village as good as I can make it while my time on this board. I'm hoping that with this new board, we can work together and make things right through a logical and an understanding with these board members that we need to get this village into the future. I just wanted to say that. I feel like it was necessary to get this out there. I also have a question for you, Marcus. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Just something just popped into my head. The IMA with the town of Cortland, we have an agreement with Montrose Improvement District to buy water from them. Is there also a buy and service agreement that we could have with them to do emergency services? 'Cause they also do emergency repairs as well.
Yeah, the way they do it, they actually have the municipalities, Yorktown and whatever, they do all the maintenance on the water valves. For example, Yorktown is part of the joint waterworks. They do all the maintenance. Montrose District just bills. They don't do any work.
But they also have a maintenance department.
Yes, but for all the valve replacement and work we're talking about, it's done by each local municipality.
Okay, so we
And
could
when they
get
did
into a
this-
service agreement with them, a contractual service agreement with them,
No, the best way to do it, like with the town of
with
Portland.
the IMA,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. That's the best option.
Food for
That
thought.
was a good question, but I always ask that question, why is each municipality, within the district, have their own water department?
I mean, we're buying from Peekskill, we're buying from Montrose. I
Yes.
mean, maybe they'll piggyback a service contract on as well as
Yeah.
with the
Peekskill-
purchase of the water.
Peachco is not an option, because they have their own water department. They do.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they may offer that option
I
to
can
us
ask
as well.
Yeah, I can reach out to Portland.
It doesn't have to be the town of Portland, it can be Peekskill as well.
Yeah. And Village of Croton too.
All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we can start training in-house.
Yeah. Croton and Peachco.
That would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm. And
Yep.
we've ordered a backhoe,
Mhm.
so we
Right.
would have, that as a piece of equipment if it ever decide, we decide to go where it's all in-house.
Mhm.
So that would be good.
Yep.
All right. And I would like to say, Anthony and I had a very constructive conversation last night. I think we both understand each other better. And it's been a bumpy road and we have both agreed to work together. And I had said, it's funny what you said about, I'm not saying, nobody's saying you're a bad person, Anthony. But I had said at the Westchester Municipal Officials Association meeting, I said, you never know what a horrible, wicked, evil person you are until you run for public office. So with that said, I'm looking forward. We have a lot of work here to do. I know the board has a lot of things that they would like to work on, and we are going to work together. And we're going to have some fun along the way too. And but there's a lot of good things that, we all can do here for the village. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different strengths that we can bring to the board. And we're going to communicate much better with each other. And we're going to do good things for the village. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to working with everyone.
So do I.
Likewise.
Not that we don't miss you, Steve. I miss you already, my pal.
But then we also welcome a welder.
That's absolutely
That's right.
no offense to you. I'm just saying,
I
Steve,
get it, I got it.
I work with Steve on a lot of things, not only this board.
But he's here. That doesn't mean he won't continue to work with us, right?
No, he's
right.
He's here.
very effective in a lot of things that have going on.
All right.
You want to have a quick executive session on the personnel?
Yeah, let's,
Okay.
if you guys don't mind, just a quick executive session personnel. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. April 23rd is the rest of the budget hearing, so please come. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive section for personnel. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks everyone for coming.